This is another episode on the basic Azure architecture. In this episode, we are going to discuss the creating the virtual network. So this is again the another practical session. Prior to this, we discussed about how to create the resource group. So we created the project structure in the Azure DevOps, created the project, created the Git repo, and then cloned the project into the Visual Studio or the Visual Studio code. And this is the project template, which I started creating the resource groups with the empty Azure deploy JSON file and the parameter file. I'm going to extend the same project throughout the course for completing the basic Azure architecture structure. So in this episode, I will be focusing on the VNets. Let's see what is the agenda. So here is the agenda for this course. We are going to talk about what is the actual virtual network, some of the benefits, concepts, what are the different tools we can use, and also some of the networking concepts, and finally create the virtual network using the Azure portal, Visual Studio Code, or the Visual Studio. So before you start, in order to understand, you need to start, you might be wondering where to start looking the resources from the Microsoft Azure portal. So this is the entry point for you to start the creating and understanding some of the networking concepts before you actually dig into the implementation. So make sure that you look at some of the articles, best practices, and how to especially understand the IP address range, what is required, what IP private IP address range can be used, and what private IP address range cannot be used, and so on. So let's start with what is the Azure Virtual Network. So when you talk about the Azure Virtual Network, you might have some experience. I'm expecting some experience on the networking side before you understand the Azure Virtual Network. So if you already have the on-premise virtual network, so it will become easier for understanding the Azure Virtual Network. It is basically the fundamental building block of your private network, because you are sitting in the public cloud in the Azure and you are trying to secure yourself by creating the private virtual network in the Azure. It basically enables communicating securely through all the resources you are creating, communicating securely through the internet, communicating securely through the on-premises if you have on-premise networks, and also communicating through the other virtual networks. So these are the different types of connections you will be using to connect securely through the Azure Virtual Network. So you might be wondering, why do I need the virtual network? So virtual network will be used for communicating through the internet, communicating through your other services, and communicating through the on-premise, and also filter the network traffic and route the network traffic. So those are the different reasons why you will be using the VNet. So let's take a look at this diagram. This is something we already discussed when we were talking about high-level network architecture. So this is what I'm going to use in the basic Azure architecture. I will have the virtual network protecting my resources. I will have the subnets within the virtual network, one for application gateway, one for app service environment, one for API management, and app tier have a separate subnet, and then storage account will have a separate subnet, and same thing with the data store, and also have if you have any jump servers or the bastion hosts, so those will be in a separate subnet. Think of you are creating a house with a secure way. So you will create a boundary, that's your virtual network, and you will have a single entry point, which is your main door or the entrance. In this case, I will have the public IP address or the load balancer entering into my private virtual network, and you will have the hall, or you will have the bedrooms, or the master bedroom, or children's bedroom, and you will have some bathrooms, private connections, things like that. So you can think of creating your house. Same thing with the virtual network for your corporate, if you are building, you will have different subnets, and you need to understand this IP address range. So I'm going to talk in a minute. Now, for example, when you want to secure your database, for example, is going to be in a separate subnet, and I'm going to give access to only the app tier subnet with the network security group, filtering the traffic, inbound and outbound traffic. So that's how I'm going to protect my database tier or my storage accounts securely by whitelisting the IP address or the firewall, applying the firewalls of the IP address of the particular service, Azure service. So that's how I will be securing. That's the reason I'm creating this virtual network. Now let's take a look at the pricing. So you might be wondering if there is any pricing when you are creating the virtual network. There is no charge for when you are using the virtual network. It's a free of cost. The standard charges are applicable for the other resources which you are hosting inside the virtual network. So you can look at the pricing tier in the pricing tier portal in the Azure, the pricing calculator portal in the Azure to see what for calculating your VNets. So the only careful when you are creating the static IP addresses or the public IP addresses. So those are the kind of things will be charged when you are creating the virtual network, but not the actual virtual network. So let's take a look at some of the VNet concepts. So we talked about communications. VNet is virtual network is used for communicating to different networks, right? Communicating within the services, communicating with the internet. So when it comes to the communication within the services, you can communicate through the virtual network or communicate through a virtual network service endpoints. So Microsoft Azure coming up with the service endpoints for the database storage. So you will see the list of service endpoints when you're actually creating network security groups, and also through the VNet peering. So these are the three ways you can use to communicate through the Azure resources. And next one is the communicating with the Azure, on-premise resources. If you have on-premise, you will communicate through the point-to-site virtual private network VPN. Or second one is the site-to-site VPN, and third one is the Azure Express. So those are the three ways you can use to communicate with the on-premise. And also, if you want to filter the traffic, you can use the network security groups. So we will discuss when we are actually creating the network security groups. So in the network security groups and application security groups can contain multiple inbound, outbound security rules. So in and out or from and to resources, you need a source and destination IP address, port number, protocol to configure the network security groups inside the NSG. So that is something you will discuss. We will discuss during when we are creating the network security groups. So another, some of the VNet concepts to understand is the address space. So when you are actually creating the virtual network here, you need to define the address space. So what address spaces are acceptable, what address spaces are not acceptable. So those are some of the things we will be discussing. So the address space, when creating the address space, you must specify the custom private IP address space. And then you need subnets. So as per the diagram, you will be creating the subnets. So that basically, segment your resources. So all my virtual, all my jump servers are going to sit in one subnet. All my application gateways will be in one subnet. All my app service environments for web tier is going to be one subnet. So that's how you need to think of when you are creating the subnets. And some of the best practices here you need to understand while creating the virtual network. So these are some of the tips always recommended to when you are creating the virtual network. So the first one, ensure non-overlapping address spaces. Make sure that if you already have organization level other network ranges, so you have to combine with your on-premise. If you already have any existing virtual networks, make sure that the new virtual network you are creating is not overlapping with the existing ones. And the second tip is your subnet should not cover the entire address space. So I have calculated the IP address range, which I'm going to discuss in a minute, to avoid how do you avoid how do you create your subnets properly, address spaces properly. It is recommended to have fewer large virtual networks rather than small n number of virtual networks. So it's obviously makes sense because to manage the n number of virtual networks is going to be overhead for long term. So it is always recommended to have large virtual network. So in my case, I have one virtual network. Since this is the basic Azure architecture, so I'm creating one virtual network with the subnets in it. But in an enterprise level, you can think of, you can have 10 to 15 or 20 virtual networks maximum. So I'm thinking, so you always make sure that think large VNet rather than small virtual network. And secure VNets by assigning the NSGs. So you will have the inbound, outbound rules configured, and the traffic flow in and out through the subnets will be controlled through the network security groups. So these are some of the best practices. Make sure that you will be following when you are creating the virtual network. Next one, what tools do you use to create the virtual network? So these are the different options you can use. Either you can use the Azure portal, which is not a recommended way. So the recommended way is using the PowerShell scripts or the RM templates and automate through the Azure CI/CD. And also you can use the Azure CLI, which is on the Azure portal itself to create the virtual network. So for the enterprise level, I would recommend to use the either PowerShell scripts or the RM templates, put it in the Git repo and create the CI/CD pipeline, which creates the virtual network. So that is what we are going to discuss as part of the exercise. So let's take a look at some of the concepts or the questions related to virtual network. What address ranges can I use in my VNet? So for example, the RFC 1980 supports or recommends to use these address ranges for your private IP addresses. So when you're creating the VNets, you can go with the 10 series, 172 or 192 series. These are recommended private IP address ranges when you are creating the Azure Virtual Network. And then some of the address ranges, you can still use the other ranges, but there will be some side effects looks like. So I would always recommend to go with these series when you are creating the virtual networks, private network. So in addition to that, you cannot add these numbers. For example, if you are planning to, 224 series used for the multicasting, this is used for the broadcasting purpose and lookup. So you cannot use these series when you are actually planning to create the virtual network. So make sure that you understand what network IP range should be used and what network IP range can be avoided. So we talked about what is restricted. Now let's try to understand some of the network basic concepts before you jump into creating the virtual network. Let's try to understand some of the basic network concepts, like what is IP address and types of IP addresses. So I've created a separate document on the IP address. So think of when you are trying to access any device, your phone or your desktop or your laptop, each device will have the unique IP address assigned to it. So when you are actually getting the internet connection through the service providers, internet service providers, so for your router, there will be a unique IP address assigned by the internet provider. So that's how you will be able to communicate through the internet, communicate outside the world through the your IP address. So each device is required a unique IP address. So this will have two categories of IP addresses, like IPv4 and IPv6. IPv4 is the 32-bit IP address range, which has the 4 segments. In each segment will have the 8 bits in it, and it supports from 0 to 255. So that's how you can think of the number of devices in the 32-bit address space could be this number. So in order to support now the growing number of devices, the new generation will have the IPv6 pattern, which includes the 128 address bit, which is 2 raised to 28, which is a much larger as compared to the 2 raised to 32 bit. So for now in the Azure, when we are creating the virtual network, we will be focusing on IPv4, not IPv6 really. That's a next generation one. Just wanted to let you know that the difference between IPv4 and IPv6. And now next is the classification of IP addresses. There are, you will see the static IP address and the dynamic IP addresses. So you will understand when to use the static IP addresses and when to use the dynamic IP addresses throughout the course. But static IP address, when you assign the static IP address, it will never change. It is basically used by DNS servers, and it is less secure as compared to the dynamic IP addresses. So dynamic IP addresses, internet service provider assigns the different IP address, and it picks from the range and assign every time. You might get a different IP range. When you are resetting your router, you will see that IP address is changed. That is because of the dynamic IP address. So the next topic, let's try to understand the IP address network and the host portion of, and also the subnet one. So there is another document on this one to understand the network part and the host part. So when it comes to the IP address, you will see IP address something like this: 192.168.1.1. So this IP address is a 32-bit IP address, let's say, divided into 4 segments, will have 2 parts of it. One is the network ID and the second one is the host ID in it. And the network ID is and the host ID is actually signifies, so the subnet mask basically signifies which part of the IP address is the network ID and which part of the IP address is the host ID. So when it comes to the /24, so the 24 bits, as I mentioned, this is a 32-bit IP address. The 24 bits are reserved for the network ID. So think of this way. So let's say you have the corporate where you are using the virtual network with 192.168.1.0 series /24. That means /24, which is 24 bits. The first 24 bits are for network IP address, and the next one remaining 8 bits used for your host IP addresses. So the network IP address is unique. Network ID is unique for all the devices within that subnet. Let's say this is my corporate having this IP address, and I will be having the firewall or the public IP address or the load balancer for entry point to this subnet. And you see, I have a separate services or separate devices. Each device is assigned the unique numbers in it. So each and unique number can take the number from the last segment of the IP address. Now let's see how the classes are created based on the subnet mask. As I mentioned, /24, this part is the subnet mask, which actually decides which part of the IP is network ID and which part of the IP is the host IP address. So for example, if you look at here, I have /8. That means 8 bits are reserved for the network, and the remaining 24 bits I can use it for my other host IP addresses. So first 255 is blocked, and you can use the rest three blocks for getting the list of IP addresses. So if you say /16, that means the first 16 is network, and the next 16 is for the host IDs. And when you say /24, the bigger the number, you will get the less number of IP address range for your host, and the remaining one will be blocked for the network. So that's how you should be thinking when you are creating the your IP address range. So this is something you need to understand before you create the virtual network. Okay, next, try to understand the IP address classes. IP address classes are divided into 5 classes for easier management and assignment purpose, because then the number is huge. So it is always it is easy for managing if you know what class you are talking about. So the address IP range from the 32-bit, the number is divided into 5 classes: A to E, A, B, C, D, E. And class A IP address range start from 0 to 127. Look for the first octant. That is 0 to 127 is the class A, 128 to 191 is class B, 192 to 223 class 3. So class A, B, C used for the host address, and the class D and class E are used for the multicast and experimental purpose only. So let's say if you are trying to understand 1, 2, 3, 4, this is your IP address, and you want to understand which class this IP address belongs to. So this starts with A. You need to look for only the first part of it, first segment. So this comes under the A class because 0 to 127, and here we are talking about the 1. So if you talk about 19, start with 191. 191 comes under class B. So the last part of the class B. So this is the class B IP address. And 192, this comes under the class C. So that's how you can identify whether my IP address belongs to which class of the IP addresses. Okay, now you understand the basic concepts of the networking. The next part is how do I calculate the address spaces? So I'm using the calculator for calculating the address spaces, as I mentioned. So as per this architecture, so I'm planning to use the 10 series. So if I start 10 series, how many address spaces I will be getting if I say 10,000/16. So let's bring to the calculator. So this is the calculator I'm using in order to calculate the address spaces. So if I want to calculate this address range as per this diagram, so I have already done some pre-work before this and created all the address spaces here. So let's use this address. If I want to use the 10 series with /16, how many addresses I'm going to get? I'm going to get 65,000 range. You will see this is a starting point, and this is the mask, which is /16, and this is the host IP wildcard numbers, which I'm going to get. So 16 means the first 16 is the network part, and the remaining 2 are for the host part. So that's how I'm going to get the wildcard numbers. And then, so what is the minimum number and the maximum number, and the range you will be getting between from here to here. So I've done that calculations already here. I'm getting the 65,536 when I say /16. So but you cannot have all these numbers. There are few IP addresses reserved for the Microsoft. So those reserved numbers, you cannot use it. So you can think of, I have written here, are there any restrictions on the IP address within the subnet? So there are 5 IP addresses reserved for Azure. You cannot use it in your subnet when you are assigning the IP, private IP to any of these resources. That is 0, that is the network address, end with 1, reserved by Azure for the default gateway, and 2 and 3 reserved by Azure to map the Azure DNS IPs to the VNet space, and the last digit is the network broadcast address. So you cannot use these 5 IP addresses, 0, 1, 2, 3, and the last one. So that means if you say, when you calculated, if you are saying 255, but you will not get the 255, you will be getting only 251, sorry, 255 minus 4. So the 0th index is anyway for the network. So you will be getting the 251 IP addresses when you calculate the number. So in this case, I'm getting the 65,000 range. And now I need to divide this for the subnet. So when I want to create the subnets as per my resources, so I'm going to have the VNet, VNet dev, this is my VNet name. I'm going to have the separate subnet for each one as per my diagram here. Subnet for application gateway, one subnet for app service environment, one, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need to block 7 subnets. So this is the 65,000 number. And when I say slash 24, so let me go back to the Excel sheet. So the default one, first 255 is for the default one. And for the application gateway, I'm going to use the number 1 to all the way to 55. That will give me 251 address range. So let's take a look at this one through the calculator. If I go here, I'm going to start with 1 and I will say 24. So that's going to be 254. This is not the Azure calculator, by the way. So this will have the numbers start from 10, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. So that's how I calculate here. So that's how the numbers will be coming into 255. So you see 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. The last number will be increased and I will be calculating all the way to 255. That's why I will be getting the 251 after subtracting the reserved numbers. So the same thing for the web app. Also, I will start with the series 2. Second, I will use the third number for the APIM web tier, app tier. I'm going to use 4, and storage account, for example, if I want to add one more for my jump server, which is not here, so I will say subnet for VMs. Then I will be using the number 7. So that's going to be some from 7 to 55. So I can add as many subnets I want as in this because I have reserved 65,000. And actually you don't even need /24 giving 255 instances. So you really may not be practically will not be having 255 instances of application gateways, because this particular subnet is reserved only for the application gateway itself. So that number can be reduced further. So you can think of using something like 28. So let's say, which will be yeah, approximately 10 or 11 IP addresses. So those are sufficient for the application gateway subnet. Same thing you can think of, API management. So you're not going to have hundreds of API management instances in this VNet. So you can reserve the less number so that your number is sufficient for extending your networking in the future. So that's how you need to think of. Next, let's create the virtual network in the Azure portal. I know this topic talks about creating the virtual network. I can directly go and create the virtual network in the Azure portal, but without understanding the basic concepts and how to calculate the address range, and without having the proper plan, you cannot start jumping into the creating the virtual network. Creating virtual network in Azure portal is very straightforward, but make sure that you understand the basic concepts before you jump into the implementation. So let me start creating the Azure virtual network from the Azure portal. In order to create the virtual network, you can either search here in the virtual network, or if you already added in your favorite list, you can select from there. In my favorite list, I don't have the virtual network. So the best way to add the virtual network in the favorite list, so click on all services here, and search for virtual network. So just keep your cursor there and click on the virtual network, and you can drag and drop the place where you want to keep it. So let me create a new virtual network here. I'm going to click on create new, and here you need to select the resource group. So I'm going to create this in the dev, and then let's create the virtual network. Let's see what is the name of the virtual network I decided. So this is the virtual network I decided to create, and which is going to be in the North Central, and then next. So by default, it is coming up with the 10 series. That is exactly what I have planned to create 10 series. I can leave it the way it is, or I can change my Excel sheet. So I think either way, I'm fine with creating, because /16, that means the first two numbers are anyway reserved for the network ID. So this is my address range. I'm not using the IPv6 address range. I'm using only the IPv4. So this is the default number /24. So let me add another subnet. I can name this for the application gateway. So I'm following the Microsoft Azure um, recommended naming convention. So SNet is my subnet. And since I've already know what my subnet looks like, so I'm going to use this. So as you see here, it says 251 plus 5 reserved IP addresses start from here. So 0 is network IP address 1, 2, 3, 4 until 255. So at this point, I'm not using any NAT gateways. I will be discussing the service endpoints we were talking about in the previous video. So these are the list of service endpoints you can select to restrict the the traffic. So that is something I will be exploring more in the future videos. Let's add the subnet, one subnet. So I will add the remaining subnets. I will show you how to add the remaining subnets once I create the resource itself. So I can say next security. I will leave it the default one, disabled, and then I can use the tagging. So tagging is something we already discussed in the previous video. So make sure that every resource has the tagging. So approver name, business unit. It shows some intelligence with the previous number, so which is a good thing. So this is essential environment and also the owner. So I will add the remaining ones later probably. So I can say review and create. So make sure that you review it thoroughly before creating the resources. So let's say create. So the VNet will not take much time. So since I'm adding only one subnet, this should not take more time. Okay, now the deployment is completed. I can go and check the VNet. If I want to add more subnets, so if you look at the address space, so we looked at the overview blade previously, part of the creating the new resource group. And then, as I mentioned, IAM access control will be used for the RBAC purpose. You can look at the tags and add new tags if you missed anything. And this is the diagnostic and solve problems. If you are debugging any issues, if there are any issues with the networking, you can look at this. So this is something we can look at later. And address space, you see the address space showing the 65,000 range. And if I want to add remaining subnets here, I can go and add the remaining subnets. So let's quickly look at what are those remaining subnets. I missed it. So I have the application gateway. I'm going to create one more for APIM, SNet APIM. The address range, it's by default given me with the 2.0. So that is what I'm looking for as per my sheet. Okay, so let me start with the web, not the IPv6. So I will leave it the remaining ones. Add one more for APIM, the same address range, suggested address range I will be taking. The third one I'm going to have for my app tier, which is by default coming up with the number. I need one more for the storage account. I will create one more for the database. And my jump VM. So that's how you will be creating the subnets within the virtual network. So at this point, I'm not creating the network security group. So that will be another session. Create the network security group and assign to these subnets to block the firewall listing. So we'll discuss that later. Now, the next one, creating the a virtual network using the Visual Studio Code. We looked at the creating the virtual network in the creating this resources from the VS Code earlier. Sorry, Visual Studio 2022. Now let me focus on creating the same virtual network using the Visual Studio Code. So I will be taking one by one in each video, and final goal is make sure that all these resources are properly kept in the Azure RM template in the organized folders, and automate these through the Azure DevOps. Now we know how to create the virtual network using the Azure portal. In the next step, we are going to discuss how to create the virtual network using the Visual Studio Code. So open the Visual Studio Code. Make sure that you I've opened the same project which I created earlier. So in our previous video, we have used the Visual Studio 2022 to create the resource group. So I'm going to continue the same solution and add more resources as and when we are working on new resources. So I will be using the same solution in the Visual Studio Code. Also open the same solution folder in a Visual Studio Code. So this is where I'm going to create a virtual network related resources. So I have one template file and one parameter file. I have already added the RM template script to just to save the time. So when you install the Visual Studio Code, you can also install these some of these tools, which is going to be helpful for writing the RM templates or creating the RM templates. One is the Azure Resource Manager tools. You as and when you can use easily for creating the RM templates when you have these kind of tools. The other one is the RM template viewer, and also add the Azure account. So before you create Azure resource from the Visual Studio Code, you make sure that you connect to the Azure first. So in order to connect to the Azure, I'm using the some of the commands I have is Azure hyphen command. So once you, so I tried before that it will allow you to, it will show a pop-up where you can enter your credentials, and then you will be able to connect to your subscription. So if you have more than one subscription, you can specify the subscription which you want to connect. Otherwise, it will pick the top one. And the next step is you are going to add two RM template files. So you can simply click on the new file and provide the file name. So I calling it as the Azure deployment deploy.json file. This is the template file and this is the parameter file. Let's take a look into the file closely. What we need is I took this basic template. Where is the basic template? Is in the resource group. I took this empty template and filled the resources in the Azure deployment. So this is the default one, which comes, we already discussed as part of the create resource group. So Bicep is the another language which is going to be used, which is simplified and easy to understand, readable as compared to the RM template. So that is also one more language you can use to create the Azure resources. So we can talk about more on the Bicep. For now, we will be using the Azure RM templates only. So the first thing, you will fill the parameters. I need the VNet. So this time I'm going to create a virtual network in test. In the Azure portal we used for creating the virtual network in the dev, but now in this I will be using the test one. So this is the metadata. You can write the description, what is the purpose of this parameter. And the next one, I need the address prefix. So the address prefix I'm going to use same as whatever I have planned in the Excel sheet. So this is the resource virtual network name, and this is my address space, and these are the subnets, and these are the address spaces. So I'm going to use exactly the same. This is the VNet address prefix. So I will be writing the description here. This is /24 for the subnet 1, which is the subnet hyphen default. So let me quickly change the name here. SNet hyphen default. And then give the IP address. Same thing, I need one for the application gateway. So as per this diagram, I'm creating the subnets, application gateway, web tier, API management, app tier, storage, and the database and Gem server. So this is the web application gateway address prefix, and this is the name of the subnet, web tier address prefix, and the name of the subnet. Same thing with this is web tier, and this is the APIM. This is for the app tier. I'm just reviewing, making sure that everything is correct. And this is for the storage, and finally the database. So if you want to add more in it, so you can just copy paste here. Let's say if I want to add one more here for the jump server. So this is going to be used for the jump server VMs. So I will be using the next available subnet. So this is the subnet 8. This is the jump VM. And this is my subnet prefix 8. So that's how you can add. So because of these extensions, for example, the RM template viewer, I can also see some suggestions like, this parameter is defined, but it is never used. So that is because of the parameter is not used in the below. So I will be using in a minute. So we need the location. So this is the function, RM template function, reading the location from the input. And then this is the resources section. You need the type, make sure that you are giving the proper type and the version. And then this is how you read the parameters from the parameter file. So this is my name of the parameter. If you see, name of the parameters is defined in the top. And again, the location where we want to deploy, and this resource will have the properties like address space. Address space will have the address prefixes and specify the address prefixes. And this will have the array of subnets, subnet 1 prefix, same subnet 2 name and the prefix, subnet 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let me add one more for the one which I added for the which is next sequence 8 added for the jump VM. So that's how you will be creating the template file. Once you create the template file, you also need the parameter file in case if you want to have a different name for each environment. So initially I will be creating this for the test. So let me keep this for the test. And if you want to use the same script for the production, so you need the production file, separate file for the production parameters, and you can have the all the production specific parameters. So in this case, I just give some examples with the same values here, but in the subsequent videos, we can talk about provisioning, parameters for production and the different environments. So let's now make sure that you connect to the Azure already using the Azure Connect-AZ Connect. So I've already connected. The next step, I need a PowerShell script which is actually going to run these RM templates and parameters. So here is the command, AZ resource group deployment. This is the AZ command which is going to be used. You need to pass the name of the deployment and specify the resource group. So the resource group here is the test, and creating the new resource group if not exist, if it is exist. So this is going to run in the incremental by default. So I need to specify the parameter name. So make sure that when you are in this drive, so your path should be under the VNet, because all my 3 files located under the VNet. So before I run, make sure that you go to the Azure and see. So I have only the dev virtual network which is created earlier. Now I'm going to create the test virtual network as part of this script. So this is the resource group in the North Central, which is already created if it is already created, it is going to use. Now it's created the virtual network with these parameters. So this is a virtual network address and all these. So let's go into the Azure portal and refresh the virtual network to see the latest one is coming. So you see, you have to click on multiple times to see the latest one coming up. This is the new virtual network created using the Visual Studio Code. This is the address space, and these are the details if you want to check the address space. Now you see the warning here. I've used the same address space for dev and test, and this is going to be challenging for peering in the future if you want to connect from one network to this network to this network. That is not possible because of the overlapping IP addresses. So this is exactly one of the best practice we were talking about. Make sure that your address spaces are not overlapping. So what I would do is, in case if I want to pair these virtual networks, small virtual networks, so instead of using this big number, I might split this into two and use one for first virtual network and the second range for the second virtual network. So that's how you can think. If I know prior to creating the virtual network, if I planning to create, let's say 5 to 6 virtual networks, so I will split this number into 5 to 6 and then assign the numbers accordingly. So that's the best practices, making sure that we will be following. So these are the subnets, whatever the names we have given in the Visual Studio Code, those names come up here. These are the available IP address ranges. That's how you will be creating. The next video, I'm going to continue creating more resources as per this basic Azure architecture. That's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching this video. In case if you have missed any of my previous videos, always recommended to go to the website and see all the latest information up to date. Thank you very much for staying with me.